What happens when you combine Tommy Jude with Birdie from Birdie Bombs? You get a weird looking child. No, actually, what you get is Alex Jones on steroids. And let's see what these two have been up to.
And I don't know what the ritualistic kind of stuff is or what they do, or anything like that. Now, we could be looking at it, and it could be like some kind of that maybe there was a couple of different things going on. I've thought of that too. Have you thought of that, Birdie?
Yeah, I've actually recently started to say
that
that
could be a couple of different things going on,
Oh yeah. Like I think there for sure is a couple different things going on, and I would even say from an aspect of like violence, this seems to be the most violent night in a college town, even without the unalivings. There's fight nights, there's potential like it's a madhouse. It sounds like
axe throwing contests, shit. I mean, crazy. Just
yeah, serious hyperbole. Knew that was coming from both Tommy and Birdie. There was no fight nights. Okay, they don't have an underground fight club in Moscow, Idaho. Moscow, Russia, yeah, but not Moscow, Idaho. The axe throwing competition, okay, so first of all, they had their lumberjack games, which is a collegiate competition, and they did more than axe throwing. There was several lumberjack sports, and also, yes, there's an axe throwing place in town, but it is very carefully monitored. It's not like some free-for-all where people are running around crazy with axes. And honestly, none of that has anything to do with the murders.
I mean, if you think about it, they got cougars on the loose. You got a maniac with a K-bar. You got Greek night fight nights. You got some weird-ass stream for
axe throwing contest.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
I know.
Moscow's a portal to hell, apparently.
Yes, Moscow is such a portal to hell. Come join us. Come to the Pacific Northwest now, Birdie and Tommy. I'll give you a tour. Come join and see the portal to hell. You morons.
It's important because on November 8th, there was a total lunar eclipse, a blood moon. And in ritual systems, this marks the veil thinning, the time when offerings carry the most power, and the gate opens. Well, that same week, the fraternities and sororities at the University of Idaho enter their final initiation phase of their, I guess, rushing or whatever you want to call it. November 11th, Sigma Chi holds their Brotherhood Night, and November 12th, the sororities hold their new member ceremony. So
a couple things here. Birdie referenced all this as being the right of the twins. So this is his graphic I'm using. But what he did was he pick and choose from different rituals to put together a little keynote presentation with his own things he cherry picked. So the rite of the twins, for instance, has nothing to do with a blood moon. But what he did was he took all these different elements from our AI, because he uses ChatGPT and AI all the time, to give him talking points that usually end up being crap. And he looked for things that he could try to tie in to the Idaho murders. So he's trying to tie in because they had the lunar eclipse, so a blood moon. And then you had the triplets, so twins. Like Ethan, and you had sorority and fraternity initiation. So he's trying to throw all these things in here to make you think that there was actually some relevance and tie to a ritual, when in reality, he's gaslighting you. Okay? He took aspects from several different rituals to put them together to create his own, to make you think that that's what happened in Moscow. Now, as far as fraternity and sorority initiation, they don't have all theirs on the same night. All the sororities did not have their initiation on November 12th. The fraternities, Sigma Chi's, wasn't on November 11th. And just to show you so that you don't go, well, but maybe you're wrong, you're not showing us receipts, here you go. So in 2022, Sigma Chi actually had their initiation on September 27th, just as an example. And Pi Beta Phi sorority had their initiation on October 22nd. So they weren't all doing their initiations on November 12th. And I'm also a sorority member, and initiations all vary. No two chapters have theirs basically at exactly the same time. Pledge periods are different based on the fraternities and sororities. Some have a 6-week pledge period, some have an 8-week pledge period, some have a 12-week. It just depends on which sorority or fraternity you belong to, and then also how fast everybody's getting through the pledge materials. So there's not one fixed date that all the fraternities and sororities use.
There was a family neighborhood dog skinned and filleted like a fish, almost ritualistically, near the King Road house about 2 or 3 weeks prior to this happening. And of course, the police come out and say, nope, it's not related at all. But the dog is the guardian of the underworld, and it's the first sacrifice, and it's to prep the location of where this is going to go down. And I just don't get how you can ignore that and say it's not related. It's not like the dog was just randomly unalived. It's a neighborhood family pet that goes and gets filleted and set out. It's odd. So the dog's gone. The moon is open. The initiates are bound. And what I mean by that is, like, you got the frats and the sororities. They're initiated. Either they did something with hazing, or not necessarily even hazing, but rushing, where it's like now they're brothers, they're sisters, they're bought in. Right. Yeah. And now someone has to die.
So there he goes, picking and choosing ritual aspects again. So now he's talking about a dog sacrifice, but he's talking about the neighborhood. It was nowhere near King Road. You can see on this map where 1122 King Road is, down near the lower left. And where the dog was up in that upper right where the red marker is. That's not nearby. That's not the same neighborhood. So if you're trying to claim that it was marking the neighborhood, you're way off by about 3 to 4 miles. So if you're going to try to do these things, Birdie, at least do your research and don't just go, oh, it was in the neighborhood. But yeah, again, he's picking and choosing parts from different rituals, and then we already discussed the whole sorority and fraternity initiation dates.
A comment is posted from Xana's phone, and it's just one word, Queen. The important part is that it's on a Sigma Chi connected account. That post is deleted. The account is wiped. Now, notice Queen and how I'm saying that this is a stamp, because in a ritual, sigil must be cast when the offering is complete. The comment was a digital stamp, meaning the job is.
So that account is not scrubbed, and it wasn't associated with Sigma Chi. Let me show you. So here's the TikTok page. It is still up. I just did this a little while ago, and it is not associated with Sigma Chi. And the video that Xana posted on is still there. It's this one, and here is Xana's comment.
Ray, the jammer. There's that image of their TV that shows it lost signal. That's not just their Wi-Fi going down. What a jammer does, it takes down the entire cellular network. So even if you had Wi-Fi service or your LTE or your 5G, like, that shit's shut down.
Shut the fuck down.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, we were gonna it was recommended to me on one of my lives to break down the path of the white car, the Elantra, and see, does that match of what a perimeter of a drone could fly for what a jammer would do, if that makes sense. Like, is that car?
Oh, wow.
Isn't that because controlling that shit in the car?
Right.
You know, you hear the drone buzzing on Linda Lane at 314-ish. It's, you know. Like,
okay, the monitor inside Kaylee's room was not like that because of a jammer, okay? It came from this Daily Mail photographer in this article, and it says, eerie photos show rooms inside off-campus murder house frozen in time 18 days after. So this was taken 18 days later, not the morning of the crime or later in the day when police got there. And this explains that the no network detected message is because the police had taken the hard drive for investigation. So it had nothing to do with a signal jammer. And as far as a drone, A, there is no drone heard in the Linda Lane footage, and B, you're getting the idea about somebody flying a drone around from Pavarotti because the distortion from the video from the car driving fast and the lights and everything else are making him think that some imaginary hand is putting some device on top of the car. It's really just the shark fin antenna on the top of that car.
Let's say the kids were, informants.
I've thought that for a long time.
You know what I mean? If they were informants, if there was one or two informants, they would be covering this shit up, dude. They would fucking do anything and say anything to cover that shit up, that they were using those kids as informants.
If they are dead and it's not WITSEC, I've said a real reason for a cover up could be because, let's say I've said, look, a couple of weeks ago, the leader of the Sinaloa Sea Gang was taken down in Salem, Oregon, right where that white Elantra that looked pretty effing similar to the original Elantra was found, which was believed to be the owner of the King Road house, by the way, right? I mean, there's some coincidence.
You can't make this shit up, dude. You can't make this shit up.
No, can't make this shit up. Well, yes, Tommy, you can and you do. You've been making a lot of stuff up this whole time, and Birdie makes a lot of stuff up. First of all, the white car was crashed in Eugene, not Salem. So nothing to do with the Sinaloa cartel person that was taken down in Salem. Also, the white car had nothing to do with the owner of 1122 King Road. Anybody that tells you that it tied back to him as the owner is lying their ass off. It was not tied to the owner of 1122 in any way, and the woman who owned it got into a 3-car crash in Eugene while on a business trip. And again, stop with this WITSEC nonsense. Okay? They are not in WITSEC, and it is so dismissive to the parents and disrespectful to the parents. And that's why I say you guys are Alex Jones territory all the time. Because when you make statements like that, it's just absolutely ridiculous and flies in the face of reality.
I'm like, if the leader of the Sinaloa Sea Gang goes down in Salem, Oregon a couple years later, you don't just take down a leader of the Sea Gang overnight or weeks or months. That shit's going to take years. So let's say there was a federal operation that's going on a campus using low-level informants through the Greek life because the Sea Gang is going to use that entire trafficking highway that runs up through Arizona.
Because they're infiltrating. They're infiltrating the fucking universities.
Yes.
And the frats to sell their fucking products.
Yeah, so do you think they're going to come out and say, hey, we were running a federal operation with your kids as like human shields on a campus, and the Sea Gang actually got to them and brutally unalived them because they were informants for us? They would never come out and say that shit.
Could you imagine the lawsuits out of that shit? Holy fuck, no.
It would be one of the biggest scandals ever.
First of all, if this was drug cartels, nobody in that house would have been left alive. Okay. And they wouldn't have used a knife. They go in, they use guns, they round everybody up, they take them room to room, and they kill everybody. Okay? This was not a drug hit. This had nothing to do with Sinaloa or any other drug gang. And I wish people would quit saying that crap, because also Jay Embry and other people and you guys now have put some of these parents in danger by making these stupid comments about the drug gangs and parents possibly being informants, etc. It's so irresponsible and reckless.
Yeah.
Phoenix has a good comment there.
They flipped them from college students to informants. Yeah. Allegedly, the FBI had rented a home next to 1122 and watching them, then moved after the unalivings.
There was unmarked van that looked pretty fetish. Like, you know what I mean? Have you guys heard about that?
A white van or what?
The unmarked van that like was seen kind of all over the crime scene. I don't even know. I don't know if there was like official reports on it, but there was rumors of it. And then after that all went down, nobody saw it.
Okay, Birdie, and I know you don't like this graphic, so I'm going to use it again. You literally just made that up about the white van. There were no reports of a white van in the neighborhood or near the house. That has never been reported. And also, come on, Phoenix, renting out the house next door. The residents of 1122 know all the students that were living in all those houses next door, and the one right behind, and the one Jack was. I mean, those were all college kids. They were partying on those houses all the time. There's pictures of them up on the roofs of the two houses right next to them. So, which house exactly was the FBI renting? Because those were all like fraternity and sorority members in those rental houses. So I'd love to know which one you think they were renting and that they suddenly were gone. Please point out which one next time that you're live. I'd love to hear it. So anyway, folks, this is another example of Birdie bombing out again. And of course, we know Tommy Jude bombs out a lot. But the conspiracies are on steroids, and I just like to remind them of this guy. He's a reminder of what happens when you're not ethical and you say shit that you shouldn't say about murder victims.